Now from London is Middle East commentator Chris Doyle. Thank you for joining us. So the international community has spoken with one voice tonight through this UN Security Council resolution that has been passed. But as Mohammed was talking about there, how will this fit with Netanyahu's ambitions to effectively destroy Hamas, even though Hamas have come out tonight and said that they want to work with mediators to move things forward?
What you're seeing here is an extraordinary display of diplomatic gymnastics going on. We have the United States saying, this is Israel's deal. We're now including in a Security Council resolution and we urge Hamas to back it. And yet what we see is Hamas saying, yes, we welcome it. And the Israeli government, whose deal it's meant to be, they're meant to be the owners of this, can't even welcome it. They can't even comment on it. And it really looks as if this is an American deal imposed upon Israel, who is yet ready to agree to it. So it's really hard to see where this goes. I mean, Netanyahu is going to have trouble to get this past his own cabinet, let alone other forces within Israel. Hamas have still, I think, some valid, legitimate queries about all of this, because if Israel doesn't actually really support it, why should they be signing up to it? It's not very clear to me, at least, looking at the text of this deal, who's going to be running Gaza in all of this, because the Israeli government is saying, well, Hamas has to be finished militarily and politically. Well, that's not in the text of this deal. So who would run Gaza in all of this? I find it very hard to believe that the Israeli government would agree to something that would allow Hamas to stay in power in the Gaza Strip. So it's just not clear really what is going on, except just perhaps that the international community is beginning to show impatience, led by the United States. They want this to be over, enough, but they still need to get real about what the sort of diplomacy is going to be required here.
The US has pushed this resolution forwards and the international community has accepted it. But how important will those neighbouring countries be in trying to facilitate a deal now between both sides, which satisfies both sides and allows people to have peace in Gaza after 8 months of conflict?
Well, of course, all the neighbouring countries that must play a role, and they will be busily acting as the mediators, particularly Egypt and Qatar, between Hamas and the Americans and the Israelis. But I think we're going to need to see a considerable more energy and effort and, frankly, courage behind the scenes to bring it out, because at the moment we're still seeing this mirage of politics and diplomacy, which I don't think is profoundly honest about what's going on right now. And I think there needs to be more clarity in an agreement when you're trying to resolve things between two sides who have absolutely no trust in each other. The vagueness of this deal, yes, it has some strengths because it's vague, but it also has a lot of weaknesses if you're going to get the two sides to sign up to it. So a lot more work to be done. Let's hope that that can be done as quickly as possible, because Palestinians in Gaza, they're watching this and they're aghast. I mean, they've been bombed and starved to death. We're looking at a situation where the UN will say 1 million of them will be in famine conditions, dying of starvation by mid-July. So time is running out.
But at the same time, the people in Gaza will be clinging to the hope that peace could be around the corner, and this resolution potentially starts that process. So should they be optimistic tonight, even just a little bit? Well,
it is positive that the Security Council has united, at least with one abstention from Russia, but they've got to be bolder. They've got to be more forceful to get this over the line. And it's not just Hamas who needs to have the pressure on, and that's one of the failings of the resolution. It makes this assumption somehow that there doesn't need to be any pressure on Israel. Well, there does. The Israeli cabinet has not approved it. There are divisions. There are major Israeli politicians who refuse to accept it. So I think that Palestinians have seen these games for far too long to get too ahead of themselves. Of course, they want that ceasefire. They want to be able to return to their homes. They want the aid in. They want an end to these atrocities. Nobody more so. But I think that they are also very realistic. They've learned from very painful and bitter experience that these things do not happen quickly. They don't happen necessarily as they would wish.
Middle East commentator Chris Doyle, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Pleasure.